Commander Zektar stood before the massive view screen in his ship's command center. The stars looked the same as always, but today felt different. Today he would crush another weak species and add their world to the Vorthan Empire. His clawed hands gripped the metal railing as he read the mission briefing one more time. The target was a human colony called New Haven, according to the intelligence reports. Humans were barely more advanced than cave dwellers. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel a few decades ago. Their weapons were primitive projectile launchers. Their ships held together with metal bolts and prayers. This will be easy, Zektar thought to himself. He had destroyed 43 worlds in his military career. Some had fought back with plasma cannons. Others had tried to hide behind energy shields. All of them had fallen to his ship, the Void Talon, within hours. The Void Talon was a masterpiece of Vorthan engineering. Its quantum disruptors could tear apart solid matter at the molecular level. Its armor could withstand direct hits from stellar fusion bombs. Its crew of 300 warriors had never known defeat in battle. Lieutenant Crix approached from the weapons station. His green scales rippled with excitement as he spoke. "Commander, all systems are ready for combat. The quantum disruptors are charged to full power. Our shields are operating at maximum efficiency." Zektar nodded slowly. "Good. How many humans live on this colony?" "Approximately 50,000, sir. Most appear to be farmers and miners. We detected no military installations during our long-range scan." 50,000 farmers, Zektar repeated with amusement. "The Galactic Council calls this a Class D threat. I have seen more dangerous insects on my home world." "Science officer." Vex looked up from her sensor station. Her large eyes blinked twice before she spoke. "Commander, there is something unusual about the energy readings from the human colony." Zektar turned toward her. "Explain." "Our sensors detect strange power signatures around their settlement. The patterns do not match typical farming equipment or mining operations." "How strange?" Zektar asked. Vex studied her readings more carefully. "The energy output is approximately 30% higher than expected for a colony of this size. However, the patterns are irregular and chaotic. Could simply be primitive industrial machinery operating inefficiently." Zektar dismissed the concern with a wave of his hand. "Humans are known for their wasteful technology. They probably burn twice as much fuel as necessary to power their crude machines." The bridge fell silent, except for the gentle hum of the ship's engines. Through the view screen, Zektar could see the edge of the human solar system growing larger. In a few more hours, they would drop out of hyperspace near the colony world. "Sir," Communications Officer Thok called out from his station. "We are receiving no distress signals or evacuation requests from the human colony. Long-range sensors show normal activity patterns." This surprised Zektar. Most species detected approaching Vorthan warships days before arrival. They usually sent desperate messages begging for mercy or attempting to negotiate surrender terms. The fact that these humans showed no signs of panic was puzzling. "Perhaps their sensors are too primitive to detect us at this distance," Zektar suggested. "That is possible, sir," Thok agreed. "Human technology is approximately 200 years behind current galactic standards." Zektar walked to the center of the bridge and activated the tactical display. His three-dimensional map of the New Haven system appeared in the air before him. The colony world orbited a yellow star, similar to the human home world of Earth. Smaller moons circled the planet, and asteroid fields provided raw materials for mining operations. "Show me the colony's defenses," he ordered. The display zoomed in on the planet's surface. Red markers appeared around the main settlement, indicating the locations of defensive installations. Zektar counted 12 small weapon platforms and what appeared to be a basic shield generator. "Pathetic," he muttered. "My personal fighter. Craft carries more firepower than their entire defensive grid." Lieutenant Crix stepped closer to examine the tactical display. "Sir, should we offer them a chance to surrender before we attack?" Zektar considered this question. Galactic law required him to give enemy forces an opportunity to yield before beginning hostilities. However, the law also stated that obvious mismatches did not require formal surrender negotiations. "We will follow proper protocol," he decided. "Send a standard surrender demand when we arrive. Give them 10 minutes to respond before we open fire." "Understood, sir?" The hours passed slowly as the Void Talon approached its target. Zektar reviewed the mission parameters one final time. His orders were simple and direct. Eliminate all military resistance. Capture surviving humans for scientific study and establish a Vorthan outpost on the colony world. The humans possessed no technology that interested the Empire. Their ships were slower than civilian Vorthan transports. Their weapons could barely penetrate light armor plating. Their computers operated on binary code that Vorthan children learned in elementary school. What made humans valuable was their biological adaptability. They could survive in a wide range of atmospheric conditions and gravity levels. This made them useful as slave labor on worlds that other species found uninhabitable. The science division also wanted to study human psychology and social structures. Dropping out of hyperspace in 60 seconds, announced Navigator Yex from CZC. Her station, Zektar felt the familiar sensation of anticipation that came before battle. Soon he would add another victory to his record. His superiors would praise his efficiency. His crew would share in the glory of conquest. All stations report. Ready for combat, Lieutenant Crix announced. Weapon systems online and targeted. Confirmed weapons specialist Drock. Shields raised and defensive systems active, added Defense Coordinator Mex. The stars on the view screen shifted suddenly as the Void Talon returned to normal space. Directly ahead lay the human colony world, a blue and green sphere that reminded Zektar of dozens of other conquered worlds. But something was wrong. Where the intelligence reports had described a simple farming settlement, Zektar now saw something completely different. The human colony had been transformed into what looked like a military fortress. Energy shields surrounded the main population centers. Weapon platforms dotted the landscape in organized defensive patterns. Spacecraft moved in precise formations. Around the planet, this cannot be correct, Zektar said slowly. Run a full sensor sweep of the colony. Science Officer Vex worked frantically at her station. Sir, I am detecting massive energy signatures across the planet's surface. The humans have constructed defensive installations that rival our own technology. How is that possible? The intelligence report stated that humans are primitive. I do not know, sir. Perhaps the reports were incorrect. Zektar stared at the view screen in growing confusion. Either his intelligence division had made a terrible mistake, or these humans had somehow advanced their technology by centuries in just a few weeks. Neither possibility made sense. Sir, Communications Officer Thok called out urgently. We are receiving a transmission from the human colony. Put it on the main screen. The view of the planet was replaced by the image of a human male. He appeared to be middle-aged, with brown hair and calm blue eyes. He wore what looked like a military uniform, though it was unlike any design in Zektar's database. Greetings, Vorthan vessel, the human said in perfect galactic standard language. I am Captain Jake Morrison, commanding officer of New Haven Colony. We have been expecting your arrival. Zektar stared at the human on his view screen. Captain Jake Morrison looked calm and confident, nothing like the terrified farmer he had expected to find. The man's uniform was clean and well-fitted. His shoulders were straight. His eyes showed no fear. You've been expecting us? Zektar asked slowly. How is that possible? Morrison smiled slightly. We detected your ship 3 days ago when you entered our sensor range. It gave us enough time to prepare a proper welcome. 3 days. Zektar felt a chill run down his spine. Human sensors should not have been able to detect a cloaked Vorthan warship at that distance.
Ow.
Their technology was supposed to be centuries behind galactic standards. Impossible, Zektar muttered. Your primitive sensors cannot penetrate our stealth systems. Perhaps your intelligence reports need updating, Morrison replied calmly. Commander Zektar, I presume. We know quite a bit about you and your ship. Your quantum disruptors operate on a frequency of 2.7 terahertz. Your shields use rotating harmonic patterns to deflect energy weapons. Your crew complement is 312 warriors. The bridge of the Void Talon fell completely silent. Every piece of information Morrison had just stated was classified at the highest levels of Vorthan military security. No human should have access to such details. Lieutenant Crix leaned close to Zektar and whispered, "Sir, how could they know our ship's specifications?" Zektar ignored the question and addressed Morrison directly. "It does not matter what you know about my ship. You are vastly outnumbered and outgunned. I offer you one opportunity to surrender unconditionally." Morrison's expression became more serious. "Commander, I appreciate the formal offer, but I have a counter-proposal. You may leave our system immediately and return to Vorthon's space. Will not pursue or attack your vessel if you depart peacefully." The entire bridge crew turned to look at Zektar in shock. A human farmer was offering to let a Vorthon battlecruiser retreat safely. The suggestion was so absurd that several officers began laughing. "You dare to threaten me," Zektar roared. "I have destroyed 43 worlds. My ship carries enough firepower to level your entire colony." "I'm not threatening you, Commander," Morrison said quietly. "I'm trying to save lives. Both yours and ours. Please reconsider your mission." Zektar had heard enough nonsense. He turned to his weapons officer. "Lieutenant Crix, target their main settlement. Prepare to fire quantum disruptors at maximum power." "Yes, sir," Crix replied eagerly. His claws danced across the weapon controls. Targeting systems locked. The quantum disruptors charged and ready. Morrison's image remained on the screen. The human captain shook his head sadly. "You're making a terrible mistake, Commander. The only mistake was giving you a chance to surrender." Zektar snarled. "Fire all weapons." The Void Talon unleashed its full arsenal toward the human colony. Brilliant beams of destructive energy lanced through space at near-light speed. The quantum disruptors should have torn through the human shields like paper and reduced their settlement to radioactive dust. Instead, something impossible happened. The human defensive shields absorbed every bit of energy from the attack. The colony's defensive grid glowed brightly for a moment, then suddenly redirected all that collected power back toward the Void Talon. Incoming energy discharge. Science Officer Vex screamed from her station. "All sensors show massive power. Spike heading directly for us." The returned energy struck the Vorthon ship's shields with devastating force. Warning alarms shrieked across the bridge as multiple systems overloaded. Sparks flew from control panels. The lights flickered and dimmed. "Damage report." Zektar shouted over the noise. "Shield generators operating at 30% capacity. Defense Coordinator Mex called out. Forward armor plating has been breached. In 7 locations. We have lost 2 weapon batteries." Zektar could not believe what he was hearing. The humans had just damaged his ship using the Void Talon's own weapons. Such technology should not exist outside of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. "Sir," Navigator Yex announced urgently. "Multiple human vessels approaching from the asteroid fields. They appear to be moving into attack formation." The main view screen switched to show the incoming ships. Zektar expected to see crude human vessels held together with metal plates and primitive welding. What he saw instead made no sense at all. The human ships looked like they had been built from scrap metal and spare parts. Their hulls were mismatched pieces of different materials. Some sections appeared to be mining equipment adapted for combat. Others looked like cargo containers with weapons bolted to the sides, but they moved like nothing Zektar had ever seen. The lead fighter craft performed a spiral maneuver that violated several laws of physics. It spun through a series of turns. That should have torn the ship apart from gravitational stress. The pilot seemed to be dancing through space rather than flying. "Who is piloting that vessel?" Zektar demanded. Communications Officer Thok quickly scanned the radio frequencies. The pilot identifies herself as Lisa Chen, formerly an agricultural transport operator. A farmer. A former farmer was flying circles around his best pilots. More human ships emerged from behind the planet's moons. Each one looked different from the others, as if they had been assembled by different groups using whatever materials were available. None of them matched any known ship design in the galactic database. "Sir," Weapons Specialist Drock reported nervously, "our targeting systems cannot lock on to the human vessels. They are moving in completely unpredictable patterns." Zektar watched in growing alarm as the human ships surrounded his battle cruiser. They moved like a school of fish, changing direction instantly, and moving as one coordinated unit. Their formation was both chaotic and perfectly organized at the same time. "Open fire on all targets," he ordered. "Use the automatic tracking systems." The Void Talon's remaining weapons opened fire in all directions. Energy beams and missile warheads filled the space around the ship. Surely some of the projectiles would find their targets, but the human ships seemed to know exactly where each shot was aimed. They twisted and dodged through the barrage of weapons fire like they could see into the future. Not a single hit was scored against any human vessel. Then the humans began to fight back. Their weapons were unlike anything in Zektar's experience. One ship fired what appeared to be modified mining charges that exploded in brilliant flashes of light. When the explosion cleared, a section of the Void Talon's hull had simply vanished. Another human vessel launched what looked like agricultural fertilizer containers. Upon impact, the containers released clouds of corrosive gas that ate through Vorthan armor like acid. "Sir," Science Officer Vex called out in panic. "One of the human ships is approaching our main docking bay. They appear to be attempting a boarding action." Zektar looked at the tactical display. A small, human craft had somehow penetrated their defensive perimeter and was now attaching itself to the Void Talon's hull. Impossible. Our security systems should prevent any unauthorized docking. The humans seem to be using some kind of override, Codes Vex replied. Their access protocols are bypassing our computer defenses. Moments later, internal alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Red warning lights flashed as the ship's computer announced an urgent message. "Hull breach detected. In Docking Bay 7. Unknown personnel have entered the vessel. Security teams respond immediately." Zektar grabbed his personal weapon and headed toward the exit. "Lieutenant Crix, you have command of the bridge. Continue firing at the human ships." "Where are you?" "Going, sir? To deal with these human invaders personally?" As Zektar ran through the corridors of his ship, he could hear the sounds of combat echoing from the lower decks. Energy weapon discharges mixed with strange explosive sounds that he did not recognize. When he reached the security station, he found his troops in complete confusion. The monitors showed human soldiers moving through the ship's corridors, but they were fighting in ways that made no tactical sense. One human warrior was using what appeared to be a kitchen utensil as a weapon. Another had somehow turned a maintenance tool into an explosive device. Third was defeating Vorthan guards, using nothing but improvised traps made from spare parts. Who are these people? Zektar whispered to himself. On the monitor, he could see the human squad leader clearly. The name tag on his uniform read Tony Blake, Marine Sergeant. Blake was leading his team through the ship like he had studied its blueprints for months, but that was impossible. The Void Talon's internal layout was classified information that no human should possess. Yet somehow, these impossible humans knew exactly where they were going. Zektar rushed through the corridors of his ship as alarms blared all around him. The sounds of battle grew louder with each step. His elite Vorthan warriors were supposed to be the finest fighters in the galaxy, but the noises coming from the lower deck suggested something had gone terribly wrong. When he reached Deck 5, he found chaos beyond his understanding. 3 of his best soldiers lay unconscious in the hallway. Their weapons were missing, and they showed no signs of energy. Weapon burns or conventional injuries. They had simply been defeated by something that left no obvious marks. Sergeant Tony Blake and his human squad were nowhere to be seen. But Zektar could hear them moving through the ventilation system above his head. Little had they learned the layout of his ship so quickly. The Void Talon was a maze of corridors and maintenance shafts that took new crew members months to master. "Security Team Alpha, report your position," he spoke into his communication device. Static filled the channel before a panicked voice responded. "Commander, the humans are using our own ship against us. They have somehow turned the artificial gravity generators into weapons. Half my squad is pinned to the ceiling, and the others cannot move." Zektar felt his blood run cold. The gravity control systems required advanced engineering knowledge and command-level access codes. No boarding party should have been able to modify them so quickly. He continued, toward the main engineering section, passing more evidence of impossible human tactics. A blast door had been sealed shut, using what appeared to be cooking ingredients from the ship's galley. Another corridor was blocked by a complex, trap made from cleaning supplies and spare electronics. The humans were not just fighting his crew. They were turning the Void Talon itself into their ally. "Sir," came another urgent transmission. "This is Medical Base 7. We need immediate assistance." Zektar changed direction and ran toward the medical section. When he arrived, he found Dr. Vec, his chief medical officer, staring in confusion at his computer screens. "What is the problem, Doctor?" "Commander, the humans have somehow introduced countermeasures to our biotechnology weapons. We deployed nerve toxins against the boarding party 20 minutes ago. Substances should have paralyzed any carbon-based life form within seconds. And the humans appear to be completely immune. Our sensors show that they are not even wearing protective equipment. They should be dying, but they are functioning normally." Zektar examined the medical readouts himself. The data showed massive concentrations of Vorthan nerve agents throughout the ship's atmosphere. The levels were high enough to kill most species within minutes. How are they surviving this? Dr. Vec pointed to another monitor. "We detected this transmission from the human colony 30 minutes ago. Someone down there was providing medical advice to the boarding party." The screen showed a recording of a human female speaking rapidly into a communication device. Her name tag identified her as Dr. Amy Foster. According to the intelligence files, she was supposed to be a veterinarian who treated farm animals. "Gave them specific instructions for creating antidotes using materials found in our own ship," Dr. Vec continued. "They are using our medical supplies and food stores to neutralize our most advanced chemical weapons. A veterinarian created countermeasures to military-grade biotechnology in 30 minutes. That is what the evidence suggests, sir." Zektar left the medical bay in a state of growing panic. Nothing about this battle made sense, according to everything he knew about warfare and technology. The humans were not just winning through superior equipment or numbers. They were rewriting the rules of combat as the fight progressed. His communication device crackled again with another desperate report. "Commander, this is Engineering Team Beta. The humans have taken control of our power distribution network." "Explain." "That, sir, they have somehow bypassed our security protocols and are redirecting energy flow throughout the ship. They are shutting down our weapon systems and boosting power to areas that benefit their attack." Zektar ran toward the main engineering deck. Along the way, he passed a maintenance worker repairing damage to the ship's hull. The worker looked up as Zektar approached. "Who are you?" Zektar demanded. "Rick Davis, sir. I work maintenance for New Haven Colony." Zektar stared at the human in shock. "You are one of the enemy soldiers?" Rick looked confused. "Enemy? No, sir. I'm just fixing your ship. Your power systems are really poorly designed. I figured I'd help you improve the efficiency while I was here. You are sabotaging my vessel." "Oh, no, sir. I'm making it better. See, if you reroute the plasma conduits through these junction points, you can increase power output by 40%. Of course, I also had to redirect that extra power to help my friends, but the overall system is much improved." His weapon, but Rick had already disappeared into another maintenance shaft. Somehow, a human repair worker had infiltrated the most secure sections of his ship and was treating the whole situation like a routine job. The battle outside was going no better than the fighting inside his ship. Through the nearest window, Zektar could see the space around his vessel, filled with human fighters, performing impossible maneuvers. They moved like they were dancing rather than fighting. One ship piloted by Chen executed a turn that should have crushed the pilot under gravitational forces. Instead, she seemed to use the momentum to accelerate even faster. Her craft spun through the void in patterns that hurt to watch. Another human vessel suddenly appeared directly behind one of his escort fighters. The Vorthon pilot had no time to react before his ship simply stopped working. No weapons had been fired, no damage was visible. The fighter just went dead in space. All ships, report status. Zektar ordered through the fleet communication channel. Sir, this is Destroyer Fang. Our computer systems are malfunctioning. All our tactical displays show impossible readings. Define impossible? Sir, our sensors indicate that human ships are occupying the same space as our own vessels. They appear to be somehow existing in multiple locations simultaneously. Zektar looked out the window again. The human ships were still moving in their chaotic patterns. But now he noticed something else. Every few seconds, one of them would seem to flicker or blur. For just a moment, the ship would appear to be in two places at once. Science Officer Vex, are you detecting anything unusual about the human flight patterns? Sir, I'm reading massive energy signatures that do not correspond to any known technology. The humans appear to be manipulating space-time itself around their vessels. That is impossible. Such technology requires centuries of research and development. Nevertheless, sir, that appears to be what is happening. A new alarm began sounding. Throughout the ship, this one was different from the others, longer and more urgent. Zektar recognized it immediately as the signal for incoming reinforcements. Sir, Navigator Yex announced from the bridge, Vorthon Battlegroup 7 has arrived to assist us. Zektar felt a moment of relief. Battlegroup 7 consisted of 5 heavy cruisers and 2 Dreadnought-class warships. Surely such overwhelming force would end this nightmare. But as he watched, the new ships emerged from hyperspace. Something happened that shook him to his core. The human fighters did not retreat or show any signs of concern. Instead, they seemed to become faster and more coordinated. It was as if the arrival of more enemies had somehow made them stronger. On his communication device, he heard the voice of Admiral Korth, commanding the reinforcement fleet. Commander. Zektar, we are here to assist. What is your tactical situation? Admiral, I recommend immediate withdrawal from this system. Withdrawal against a primitive human colony? Explain yourself. Before Zektar could respond, his ship shook violently. Through the windows, he could see that the humans had somehow disabled one of the newly arrived dreadnoughts. The massive warship was spinning helplessly through space. Admiral Zektar said quietly, "These are not primitive humans. I do not know what they are, but they become more dangerous with every passing moment." Outside, the human ships continued their impossible dance through space. And Zektar began to understand that he was witnessing something that would change warfare forever. The space around New Haven had become a graveyard of Vorthon pride. Admiral Korth's reinforcement fleet, the most powerful battle group in the sector, was being systematically destroyed by what looked like farmers flying scrap metal. Zektar stood on his damaged bridge, watching something that should not exist. A single human battleship had just emerged from behind the colony's largest moon. According to his sensors, the vessel was ancient by galactic standards. Its hull showed decades of repairs and modifications. Parts of it appeared to be held together with simple metal welding, but it moved through space like a living creature. Incoming transmission from the human battleship, Communications Officer Thak announced. Put it on screen. The image that appeared showed a human female wearing a captain's uniform. Her name tag read Kate Sullivan. She had gray hair and calm eyes that seemed to look right through him. "This is Captain Sullivan of the UES Freedom," she said in a steady voice. "Commander Zektar, Admiral Korth, I am requesting an immediate ceasefire." Admiral Korth's voice crackled through the communication channel from his flagship. "You dare make demands of the Vorthon Empire? We have 7 capital ships to your 1. Captain Sullivan smiled sadly. "Admiral, you had 7 ships when this conversation started. Now you have 4 that are still capable of movement. In approximately 6 minutes, that number will be 0 unless you accept my offer." Zektar checked his tactical display. Sullivan was correct. 3 of the Admiral's ships were already disabled or destroyed. The remaining vessels were taking heavy damage from human fighters that seemed to appear and disappear at will. "How?" Zektar asked quietly. "How are you doing this?" "We're not doing anything special, Commander," Sullivan replied. "We're just being human." On the main screen, Zektar watched Chief Engineer Pete Davis coordinate repairs to the Freedom while the ship was still under fire. Davis was somehow welding hull breaches closed faster than Vorthon weapons could create new ones. Sparks flew around him, but he worked with calm efficiency. Weapons Officer Nina Lopez fired the ship's main guns with surgical precision. Each shot disabled exactly the right system on each Vorthon vessel to neutralize threats without causing unnecessary casualties. Her targeting was so accurate it seemed like she could see inside enemy ships. "This is impossible," Admiral Korth transmitted. "Our ships are superior in every way." "Your ships are impressive," Captain Sullivan agreed. "But you're fighting the wrong war." "Explain that statement." "You're trying to win through superior technology and firepower. We're fighting to protect our home and our families." "Those are very different kinds of battles." Zektar saw something on his sensor display that made him question his own equipment. A small civilian shuttle was approaching the battle zone from the direction of New Haven Colony. The vessel appeared to be unarmed and unshielded. "Unknown civilian craft, you are entering a combat zone," he transmitted. "Alter course immediately." The shuttle pilot responded with a young female voice. "This is Mary Johnson from New Haven Colony. I'm here to talk." "You are 18 years old, according to our records," Zektar said in disbelief. "This is not a place for children. With respect, Commander. This is exactly the place for someone who has to live with whatever decisions get made here today." Mary's shuttle moved directly between the Vorthon and human fleets. Both sides stopped firing rather than risk hitting the small civilian vessel. "I have a proposal," Mary announced calmly. "Commander Zektar, Admiral Korth, would you be willing to listen to a different perspective on this situation?" Admiral Korth's image appeared on the split-screen display. His scales were darker than usual, indicating stress and anger. "Child, you have no authority to negotiate anything." "That's true," Mary agreed. "But I do have the authority to ask questions. Ask what the Vorthon Empire hopes to gain from conquering New Haven." "Your world has strategic value," Korth replied impatiently. "Your species shows potential as laborers for difficult environments." "I see. And how many Vorthon lives is our world worth?" The question caught both alien commanders off guard. Found himself thinking about his crew members who had been killed or injured during the battle. Admiral Korth seemed equally uncomfortable. "Military casualties are an acceptable cost of conquest," Korth said finally. "Wait, what about your families?" "Back home?" Mary asked gently. "Are their lives an acceptable cost? Because every time you attack us, we learn more about your technology, your tactics, and your weaknesses. Today we defeated your ships. Tomorrow, we might decide to visit your home worlds." Zektar felt a chill run through his body.
I thought the young human
Was not making a threat. She was stating a fact. Every moment of this battle had taught the humans something new about Vorthon capabilities. "You would not dare attack the Empire," Admiral Korth snarled. "We don't want to attack anyone," Mary replied. "But Admiral, surely you've noticed that we've become more effective as this battle has continued. We've learned to counter every weapon you've used. We've adapted to every tactic you've tried." She was right. Zektar had watched his forces become less effective while the humans became more dangerous with each passing hour. "What are you saying?" he asked. "I'm saying that fighting humans doesn't just risk losing a battle, it risks making us stronger. Every challenge you present teaches us new ways to defend ourselves. Every weapon you reveal gets turned against you within hours." Mary's shuttle moved closer to the Void Talon. Through the view screen, Zektar could see her clearly. She looked like any young person from any species, curious, hopeful, and determined. "Commander, you seem like a reasonable person. Let me ask you this. What would happen if the Vorthon Empire declared war on humanity?" Zektar considered the question seriously. Based on what he had witnessed today, a war with humans would not follow normal patterns. Each battle would make them more dangerous. Each defeat would teach them new lessons. "You would create a more powerful enemy," he admitted quietly. "Exactly. And Admiral Korth, what happens to your empire if humans become as advanced as you are?" But with our particular approach to problem solving, Admiral Korth was silent for a long moment. The balance of power in the galaxy would shift. "It would more than shift," Mary said gently. "It would end as you know it. Not because we want to conquer anyone, but because conflict makes us evolve faster than any other species in known space. Captain Sullivan's voice rejoined the conversation. Commanders, we're offering you something unprecedented. Complete withdrawal from our space in exchange for a guarantee that this encounter never happened. No reports to your superiors.
Oh, no intelligence
Gathered. No lessons learned. Why would you make such an offer? Zektar asked. Because we understand something about ourselves that the galaxy doesn't, Sullivan replied. We don't want to become your enemies. But if you force us to, we will. Become something much more dangerous than enemies. We'll become your replacements. Datar looked around his damaged bridge. His crew was watching him carefully, waiting for his decision. Through the view screen, he could see human ships moving in perfect coordination, as if they shared a single mind. He made his choice. Admiral Korth, I recommend we accept their offer. You would negotiate with primitives? Sir, respectfully, these are not primitives. I do not know what they are, but they represent something the galaxy has never seen before. After a long pause, Admiral Korth spoke again. Very well. All Vorthan vessels will withdraw from this system immediately. Mary Johnson's young voice filled the communication channel one last time. Thank you both for choosing wisdom over pride. Commander Zektar, when you file your report, please remember that humans prefer friendship to conquest. I hope the galaxy will remember that. As the Vorthan fleets limped away from New Haven, Zektar began composing the most important document of his career. His report would recommend immediate reclassification of humanity, not as a primitive species, but as something entirely new. A species that grew stronger through adversity, evolved during conflict, and turned every challenge into an opportunity for advancement. The age of underestimating humans was over.